Hey everyone and welcome. In this video we look at another smackdown from our man, the backbone don himself, Jacob Rees-Mogg, to the stupidity and power lust from wee nipper cranky, bloaty McBloatface and the Scottish nasty party.
And I do believe that we have rotten politics, and I'm not using that as an exaggeration.
It's titled, SNP plot unravels as Rees-Mogg accuses Sturgeon of putting Brussels ahead of Scotland. The SNP plot for independence was brutally unpicked by Jacob Rees-Mogg in the Commons this morning, after he condemned Nicola Sturgeon for kowtowing to Brussels ahead of the Scottish people. So as you can see, Jacob is on fire yet again, and he leaves the logic of SNP in its dust to sit there wondering what happened. Was it a stampede? Let's read this article and glory in how to talk to petulant children, which is exactly what the SNP are making Scotland look like, isn't it? Sorry Scottish, you know I love you, but it is true. Their hatred of England and love of globalist bureaucrats will drive a wedge between us that may never be healed again. I'd like to say your indie won't happen, but I'm not so sure at the minute. If you do get indie though, just to get into a club that either won't allow you or will use you for revenge for the UK is stupid in my opinion. But you'll only have yourselves to blame, you voted them in. Boris is no help either. Look at this that I've found. So he's effectively bending the knee, absolute coward. If that does happen, you can see that Scotland are going to make a pig's ear of that as well, I should say. The SNP are going to make a pig's ear of that as well, aren't they? Let's read, shall we? Jacob Rees-Mogg humiliated SNP demands in the Commons this morning as he took apart one Scottish MP's claims about a Brexit power grab. Mr Rees-Mogg branded the SNP's latest demands bizarre and claimed Nicola Sturgeon was acting against the interests of the Scottish people by kowtowing to Brussels. And she is, isn't she? On Wednesday, SNP Westminster leader Ian Blackford, because she knows it's the only way that she'll be able to get independence if she bolts it onto something that the Scottish people actually care about. On Wednesday, SNP Westminster leader Ian Blackford, bloaty McBloatface, called on the UK government to rule out a power grab on Scotland as MPs debated the party's motion calling for an extension to the transition period. You don't want a power grab on Scotland, but you want a power grab from the UK. I really dislike Blackford, I'll say that much. Mr Blackford warned that an unaccountable and undemocratic oversight body of Scotland would not be accepted. Oh, you mean like the SNP Parliament? Unaccountable and undemocratic. Isn't that describing yourself? I call that projection, matey. He said the Tory plans represent the biggest threat to devolution since the Scottish Parliament was reconvened in 1999, and I think that was a big mistake personally, but only because I care about the union, and these idiots seem to be intent on driving a wedge between us, don't they? SNP MP Tommy Shepherd echoed this point, warning that the UK could soon gain the power to overrule decisions made in the Scottish Parliament after the transition period. And rightly so. We're supposed to be a union. You don't get out of that until you get your people to vote for it, do you? Absolute idiot. Which they've already done. Mr Rees-Mogg shot this claim down, claiming Mr Shepherd seemed to prefer power residing in Brussels over Westminster, which is exactly true, isn't it? If Scotland gained independence, the SNP have already said that they would go straight back into the EU if they were allowed. They won't be, but if they were allowed. Freedom costs you freedom, apparently. Mr Shepherd said, I have tried to get a debate on the fiscal framework for devolved administrations, how it has hindered the way Scotland responds to the crisis. No, what you've been doing is everything that Boris has been saying, you've been one-upmanship on it, haven't you? You've been party politics in a lurgy crisis. That's exactly what you've been doing. This is not an argument about the amount of money, but what can be done with the money. The leader of the House has evaded my questions. Oh, right, okay, so I get it. They want our money, but they don't want us to be able to say, well, what are you going to be spending it on? Yeah, all right. Don't get the money then. What say you? The announcement on state aid last week made it clear Westminster will overrule Holyrood when it tries to provide support for our businesses to recover from the crisis. The announcement on the Shared Prosperity Fund made it clear the Scottish Government will have no control over whatever funding replaces EU funds. And there we go. That's it, innit? This is why they're so desperate to stay in the EU. They get funded by them. Paid off much? Cretins. And the biggest insult will be announced soon, as the UK will have power to override Scotland and the decision of Scottish Parliament if it affects UK trade. That's because we're a union, you muppets. Sorry, I've had enough of this now. I'm actually starting to think we should build a wall ourselves and cut them off. Sorry, Scottish people, I'm not aiming this at you. I wish we could just cut off the SNP, drive them into a corner of Scotland and just chop it off. No, I'm only joking. But you need to vote these muppets out before they drag you into a quagmire you'll never get out of, in my opinion. If this oversight body was in place before, it could have overturned policies on free tuition for everyone that's foreign but not your own people. Yeah, I get that one. We know all about free tuition. Smoking bans or minimum alcohol pricing. Oh, there you go. Scotland, are you enjoying this? This represents a major attack on devolution in an attempt to take power away from Scotland. Mr. Rees-Mogg responded, there is a difference between a question not being answered and simply being given an answer you don't like. Very true. So I will remind the honourable gentleman the answer. 4.6 billion has gone to Scotland under the Barnett consequence rules from the UK taxpayer. 4.6 billion, and he's still not happy. Without the UK's taxpayer, the Scottish government would find it very difficult to make ends meet. Very true. Over 750,000 Scottish people have been helped because they belong to the UK, and that is something of which we should be very proud. On devolution, the position of the Scottish nationalists is bizarre. They want the powers to be with Brussels. There are no powers being taken away. What is happening is power is returning to the UK after we voted out, isn't it? We will have the authority to decide on our own matters regarding trade and subsidiaries. Nicola Sturgeon wishes to act against the interests of the Scottish people and kowtow to Brussels. Now, what's my opinion on this? Well, it's this. Scotland have placed faith in England haters, haven't they? I don't like this, but it's eroding my unionist beliefs. Why support hatred? You see what I mean? Jacob is correct about the UK's taxes. Scotland would find it hard to make ends meet without. Even just tourism, let alone monetary benefits. Look at this. This is hoteliers in Scotland panicking the UK are cancelling holidays, saying it might put them all out of business. Granted, this is not about the independence. It's not about border hatred. Yes, Scotland and the Scottish, we saw you telling us to stay away, were you? Okay, this is actually about Lurgy. But answer me this. If the Lurgy is stopping tourism and they are already worrying about going out of business in just 6 months, what would they be like if there was a border stopping tourism? Wales doesn't have border checks. Just saying. Sorry, hard truths. Sometimes trigger. On top of that, trade between us could be affected, and your draw to bring industry back will be nearly non-existent without the backing of the UK taxpayer. Thank us later. But anyway, I would like to know your opinion on this. Do you think Scotland are just overreaching on a purposeful basis? Well, I should say, do you think SNP, not Scotland themselves? I know a lot of people that are totally anti-SNP that are Scottish, and every single one of them are amazing people. So this isn't aimed at Scottish people, it's aimed at the SNP, but you did vote them in, is all I'm saying. But anyway, don't forget to hit the like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon, share it out everyone. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one.